Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. As you know, I've always been in search of the secret sauce, the formula for success, and I've always been on a quest to get the distinctions and insights from those on the cutting edge, the leading edge, and sharing those with you. So today I have Donna Franklin, and she is an author, entrepreneur. She's a realist. She's going to talk to us all about abundance mindset, financial freedom, time freedom, and I'm happy to welcome her to the show. Donna, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I know we connected through Podmatch, and so tell everybody your story, your origin story, and how you got started.
So I was raised in Alabama, and we were really, really poor. We didn't have food at home. So really, what I say is the only way that I feel like we survived as kids was having free lunch. And eventually, after 4 or 5 years in school, we had free breakfast, which was, thank goodness, because I mean, it's hard to make it from lunch or from breakfast to lunch if you haven't had breakfast, right? So, and trying to learn in school. So,
Yeah.
and the reason I even tell that story is because that's where I came from, right? I mean, I wore the same clothes 3 and 4 days a week. That does not win you popularity contests, by the way. I mean, you know, um, so how I grew up was, I mean, thank the Lord, is not how I am today. At 18, if you don't mind me telling this short story, at 18, I had been working for 2 years and going to school and working, and I had enough money to buy some clothes. First time I had ever done that. And I went to a boutique, and Chris, I went into the boutique and I realized I didn't know how to buy clothes. I had never done that. I had never been with my mother or anything to buy clothes for myself or even any of my siblings. So that was the start of my journey to get out of the poverty mindset, because that's what I was raised with. And that day when I got back into my car, I thought, I'm not doing this ever again. I will get out of the mindset that I'm in, and I will change my life. And it's been years. It's taken a long time, but honestly, it has been an amazing journey to get out of where I was to where I am now. And I have been so blessed. I have become a successful real estate agent. Before that, I used to work for the Air Force and did really, really well in that. And I've written 2 books now. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. And what's interesting is this idea from digging yourself out of a hole. You know, a lot of people, especially after 2020, they got into this hole and, realize either, they're living some false dream or living someone else's or, something. What words of encouragement do you have to go from, the rock bottom to where you are now?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned COVID because, Chris, whenever I wrote my latest book, it's called Developing Your Kick-Ass Mindset. And the reason I wrote that is because during COVID, I could see everybody's mindset going in the wrong direction, right? Everybody was at home and you couldn't get out and all these things. And I wrote this book because I thought I can help people. I know from how I grew up and how I was able to change it over all the years. I know how to help them. And that's kind of what I did. It's like, you really do have to get in your own head and figure out what's holding you back. What self-talk are you talking, right? Are you saying, oh my gosh, like if you drop something on the floor, oh my gosh, are you an idiot or what, right? That type of thing. So just something as simple as that. No, you don't say that. You're like, dang it, that happened. Oh, well, that's okay. Let's move on, right? And so that's kind of where I had to, and I've been talking to as many people as possible about this because it's like, you know what, you can change it for yourself and you can make an amazing life for yourself. You just have to realize what you're saying and how to change that self-talk and to be able to figure out where you want to go. And then let's just take action. What's the first thing that you need to do in order to get there. Who should you talk to? Do you know someone that is actually doing something that you really want to do? Then try to take them to lunch or buy them a coffee or, something like that, just to get going and ask them all the questions that you can.
Yeah, I love that. It's actually it takes what I really love is these this idea of just micro habits and if you do like for example, if you do like 10,000 micro habits and if it compounded, it can lead to huge gains. You just don't see it in it. That's why it's called micro habits. But uh the other thing is this idea of, shifting your mindset from this fear, lack to, one of abundance, talking about rituals, books, what are some examples to get people in the right frame of mind, get started?
Love that. Love, absolutely. So that day, that 18-year-old self, I started searching to try to find what I could do in order to help myself. And I started searching out anything. And at that point, we didn't have YouTube or any of these things, right? So my thoughts are I go on YouTube. I just search for a self-help type thing. Tony Robbins was my first real guide, if you will. I liked his no nonsense. He's kind of a kick your ass type thing. That type of thing. He'll do that for you. But it was him saying, you know what? Life happens for us, not to us. And so let's figure out how what you've had in the past can help you in the future. So that was one of the first things I did. But my first suggestion would be go on YouTube and start looking, but look for the good ones, the ones that have been around for a while, not just somebody that's just started yesterday.
Yeah.
Someone that actually has some skin in the game and has done it for a while and really knows kind of what they're talking about. That's what I would do because
Yeah.
they're amazing. Some of these guys are just amazing.
Yeah. It's interesting because I started my journey 2008, financial crisis, and back then YouTube was just a baby. I had to get in my car, drive to the library, find the book, sit down, read it. They didn't, Kindle didn't exist.
That's how I started too. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
What kept you going? Entrepreneurship is really tough, and it's got ups and downs. What keeps you going?
I never wanted to go back to poverty ever. That is my number one driving force. And then the second is my family. I have a daughter. I have a couple of grandbabies. I always want them to look at me and to realize, you know what? If she's done that, then I can do that. And just to be a great example.
Yeah, I love that. And how do you avoid getting overwhelmed, with all the, the noise and the distractions? How do you avoid getting overwhelmed?
That's a great question. I make a list every day of 5 things I'm going to accomplish that day. And if I only do 4, I've messed up. Those are the 5 most important things. Everything else just takes backseat to that. When I finish those 5, then I can do everything else that I need to do. And that keeps me on track and helps me to know exactly where I need to be and what I should do for that day. That way you're not getting overwhelmed because it's just 5 tasks, right? And anything else is good to go, but definitely do those 5 things first.
I love that. We talk about so a lot of mindsets. There's tons of mindsets, and then you have certain mindsets that help people shift from low self-esteem, indecisive. What are some of the most important mindset shifts that you've had in your life?
So my whole family, Chris, it was always about struggling. It was never about thriving. It was always about surviving. And I knew I had to get out of that because if you're just in the fight or flight all the time, then it's really difficult to achieve more. And I knew I had to do that. So that was one of the main things. And honestly, you're a doctor, which is wonderful. I'm the most educated person in my family, And I have a high school degree plus some college. That's it. Now,
Mhm.
I do have a sister that's a nurse, so she has done amazing things, but I was the first to graduate in my entire family. So coming from that and just knowing it was just almost just like a driver in me. Okay, Donna, you have got to do better. You have got to make something of yourself and just keep showing others what to do. And honestly, that's really what it's been. It's just, I have to talk all the time to myself. When something happens, it's not, to me, it's not a problem, right? Because that's a man-made word. It's basically it's a challenge. Okay, how can I overcome this? Right? And so that's what I love. It's like, okay, so I've got this. Let's figure out what the solution is and do it. So to me, everything is about taking action. So if one of your listeners is just trying to figure out what to do, think of one thing that would help you to get one step closer to their goals, to their dreams, whatever it is, and take the action. And if they don't know how, go on YouTube or get a book or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and that will help them. It will just so they taking action is just the key for them to do it because that will help them to get more confidence. So the first thing that they do whenever they accomplish that, it's like, yes, I can do this. And that will give them the confidence that they need.
Yeah, action. Paul Graham says, take action. And the more iterations you take, action produces information, and it's just feedback. And the more it's like the cycle. So the more you can repeat the cycle, the faster you can get to your goals.
Absolutely.
I talked to a lot of people that really really high performers, high achievers, and one of the things I've noticed in common is there's these daily rituals they do, whether it's like waking up early, going to sleep early, meditation. What are some examples of your daily rituals that help you get in the right mindset, help you get in the right frame of mind, help you crush the day?
Love it. So I first get up and it's around 6. It can be a little bit before 6 a.m., maybe a little, most of the time it's a little bit before. And I walk my dog. So I am giving him exercise and I'm giving myself exercise. And then I come home and I feed him. And then I exercise. I do my exercises. So that starts off the day to help me get in the right mindset. Okay, so I've done my exercises, gets all the endorphins going, and helps me to figure out, okay, next step. And then I get ready. But this is so interesting because I learned this from a friend of mine who is also a doctor, and he has helped over 8,000 people to accomplish their goals and dreams. He said, this is what you really need to do. And this is what I've been doing for the last 2 months. And I love it. So I know it may sound really weird to some people, but because of all the negativity that we face on a daily basis, this is what he said to do. So I look at myself in the mirror and I say 10 times, I love you, I love you, I love you. So 10 times, because in that way, in our brains, that's the thing that our brains will go back to is the good instead of the bad, because that's the last thing that we've really kind of heard. So that's something. And then I also do breathing exercises to help me to get more oxygen in my body
Mm.
and get me started going for the day. So those are some things. And then of course after that, then I get work and I mean, whatever else I need, I've already made out my list of things, but that's really what gets me started every day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love that. In like I said, it's just whatever put you in the right frame, and everybody's different. As we're coming to the ending of this talk, tell people, your book, how it can help others, where they can find it, how they can reach out to you and contact you.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris. So I have a website and it's there's so many Donna Franklins out there. I actually had to put a little bit of a different thing in there. So it's at www and they can get that. But I'd also like to tell you, so in my book, it actually outlines a lot of ways for others to figure out how to help themselves. But what I'd like to do for your listeners and for your viewers, if you would like, is I have created a course. It's a mini course that I would love to send to you and you could give to them so that they can do some things on their own. It's a really cool course. It just helps them to go, okay, so if you're thinking this way, then let's try to change it a little bit. But if you'd like for me to do that, I would love to do that for you.
And for all the listeners out there, Donna's resources will be in the links and show notes. Be sure to check out her book. I'm sure it's on Amazon as well. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure meeting you.